Hi, everyone. Sabrina Dami here, joined with Dan Levy, who is live right outside the Schoharie County Courthouse, bringing us this breaking update on some major developments in the Schoharie limo trial. Dan, both sides resting. Witness testimony is over in this trial. Alarming in some sense, because we went from 6 weeks, perhaps, in this case to everything kind of wrapping up in 6 days.
Much surprise here in Schoharie County, Sabrina. You're absolutely right. This was expected to take up to 6 weeks, and it only took 6 days. Only 24 witnesses instead of more than 100. But District Attorney Susan Mallory rested the people's case in the Norman Hussein case late this morning. Moments later, defense attorney Kinlan, after declining to call any witnesses at all, he rested his case as well. In fact, Kinlan believes the entire case should have ended today. He suggested to Judge Peter Lynch he didn't believe the prosecution proved their case, and he reiterated what he's been saying for 4.5 years, really, reminding the court that 2 Mavis Discount Tire employees admitted under oath that they committed fraud. They lied to his client about performing repairs to the stretch limo that they never actually performed, and therefore Kinlan believes that they're the ones who are responsible for the deaths of those 20 individuals 4.5 years ago. District Attorney Susan Mallory did argue that the owner, the operator of the vehicle, Norman Hussein, is still responsible for the repairs and to maintain it and to have it inspected. Kinlan requested dismissal of charges twice today, Sabrina. Both times, of course, the judge denied that request. At one point, Lynch stated his belief that a reasonable jury could find the defendant's conduct to be reckless and that he should have foreseen the risk. And Lynch further stated that the attorneys can make their own arguments to the jury themselves during the summations, and those summations are scheduled to begin tomorrow morning.
Dan, one big piece, I think you had asked the defense attorney several times about this. Will Norman Hussein take the stand? That was something that he wasn't really giving a clear answer on. Obviously, this ultimate decision was for him to not take the stand. What did Lee Kinlan, his defense attorney, what did he have to say about that?
Well, Kinlan told me he didn't have to put his client on the witness stand. He felt prosecution witnesses proved his case for him. I mean, as we've mentioned, and we keep harping on this, and Lee Kinlan certainly brings it up enough, Mavis employees said, hey, we lied to him. We committed fraud. We told Norman Hussein that we fixed the brakes, and we told him that it passed inspection, and none of that is true. And so Kinlan says, well, I don't need to put my own witnesses on that. Ms. Mallory, your clients did it for me.
On the flip side, Lee Kinlan has spoken every day. At the end of each day, he kind of gives his final thoughts on how the day went. The DA, Susan Mallory, along with the special prosecutor in this case, have not really spoken. They've taken that approach. Did she say anything today while leaving?
Other than whatever she has to say, she will say it tomorrow to the jury. And I asked Lee Kinlan also, I said, hey, what will we hear tomorrow that we haven't heard over the last 6 days, or that we haven't heard over the last 4.5 years? And he kind of tipped his hand. He said, look, I think people are going to see my passion. They're going to see how much I believe in my client. And they're going to see me get angry because quite frankly, I'm frustrated. My client should not be charged with these crimes. And we did see a bit of his ire while cross-examining prosecution witnesses. Lee Kinlan kind of indicated, you haven't seen nothing yet.
Obviously, at the center of all of this, those families as well. I know dozens of them have been in the courtroom. And we talked a little bit about this live at noon when you and I spoke about how they're feeling with things wrapping up quickly. And you made a good point that the thought of sitting through weeks and weeks of this probably was unbearable. Any feeling from the families of these 20 victims on how they're doing right now?
Well, Sabrina, the 24th and final witness was State Police Special Investigator Robert Maurer. He presented photographs of the crash scene, and he spoke about where the bodies were found. And some of the family members of the victims walked out of the courtroom. They didn't want to hear it. They couldn't see it. It was so difficult. Imagine having to relive the most horrible day of your life. That gives you an indication of how they're feeling. And I know it just has to be a relief to so many of them that they don't have to sit in that courtroom and listen to more testimony for another month.
We had those few jurors who were dismissed right at the start, and then there were a lot of question marks as to what would happen next. If we drop below 12, obviously this could not proceed. But things instead proceeded and then wrapped up rather quickly. And here we are now, closing arguments beginning tomorrow morning.
Well, I think also everyone is relieved that it was short, because how much attrition could that jury take, right? I mean, it began at 16. Right now we're at 13 because we lost 3. And one doesn't know. I mean, if all those jurors could have lasted the entire month.
And so give us a sense, Dan, of what's going on there right now. Everyone has gone for the day, and essentially we're just on pause until tomorrow?
Not a soul around. The corridors of the courtroom are empty. The attorneys, the jury was sent home around lunchtime. They were told to get a good night's sleep, empty their minds, and come back fresh in the morning. So there's really nothing happening here. Lee Kinlan told me he was going back to his office to prepare his final summations. And Susan Mallory said she won't have anything to say until she says it to the jury tomorrow.
Realistically, this jury could start deliberating tomorrow afternoon then.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. First thing this tomorrow morning, the judge will have to charge the jurors. In other words, remind them of what the charges were and what makes up each charge. They can consider manslaughter or criminally negligent homicide. Keep in mind the top sentence here is up to 15 years in prison. But after they're charged, and they will retire to deliberate, and the fate of Norman Hussein is right squarely in their lap.
Dan Levy joining us live outside the Schoharie County Courthouse, fighting that wind out there once again today. But Dan, thank you for your extensive coverage on this, for bringing us this update. We will see you on air starting live at 4.
See you then.
And so that is your breaking update here on 13 now, as witness testimony officially ends in the Schoharie limo trial much sooner than anticipated. This was expected to last 4 to 6 weeks. Testimony finished within 6 days. And now tomorrow morning, closing arguments will begin, and the jury could start deliberating the fate of Norman Hussein. We will, of course, keep you updated on this, and you will hear more from Dan coming up live at 4. For now, I'm Sabrina Dami. We'll see you live at 4.